So, paralinguistics. So, in other words, body language, but we're also going to be talking about tone of voice, volume of voice, and things like that. So, these images here are a sort of collage of different reactions and body language and paralinguistics through the 4.5-minute clip. Even in this clip here, you can see various ways in which Paris Hilton is acting and also how Letterman acts around her. So what I got my students to do is we noticed all the paralinguistics that Paris Hilton and David Letterman did, and then we sort of try to work out, well, what effect did this has on the conversation. Remember, you're not going to get past the D if you just say what happens. So if you say that she stuck her lip out, if you're saying she was waving to the audience, you're not going to get a good grade. You're going to say what effect that has on the conversation. So what I got my students to do was to, in groups, they try to work out what meanings these had for the conversation, and we're going to go through these now. So this is what I mean when I say that she was looking away to the audience. So we said that her outfit is quite sexual, it's glamorous, she's obviously trying to impress. When her name is called out for the interview, she does a little wave, so it's almost sexual, flirty, a little bit nervous. Her seating is, she's very exposed to the audience, she seems nervous. While Letterman has a desk in front of him, she has nothing, so there's no barrier between her and the audience, so she's very exposed. She's actually sat lower. If you look at the clip, she's sat lower than Letterman, which makes her feel probably less powerful, less important than him. Her smile fades, so whenever Letterman makes a joke at expense, and that happens quite a lot, she does try to smile. However, you can tell that smile fades pretty quickly. She's finding it tough, she's finding it embarrassing. So when she looks to the audience, she looks to the side. It's almost as if she's looking for help. She's not happy. Maybe her agent or her PR woman or even a member of her family, or maybe a friend is on the side of the stage and she's almost looking to them for support in terms of, well, what do I do? So eye contact throughout, which you could probably say is a little bit unconventional. Normally if someone's uncomfortable, they try to avert their gaze. However, we could possibly argue that she's looking at Letterman so intently, she's almost trying to get him to change his questions. At the end, she sticks out her bottom lip and changes her tone of voice. You can see her bottom lip in the photos here. Her tone of voice changes from that of a normal, like average 26-year-old into a very youngish, immature voice. So we almost could say here that we're seeing her spoilt side. It's almost like we're getting an insight into how she would act with her millionaire dad. It's almost like she's turned Letterman into like a surrogate father figure, where she's almost begging for him to sort of stop making fun of her. Real laugh at the end. It's almost like the laughs during the interview are all a little bit fake and all a bit put on. However, she actually laughs at the end when he mentions about buying her a parakeet, buying her a present, and it's almost as if we get to see the real Paris Hilton after she's been subjected to all the prison questions. After she knows she's safe, she begins to be herself a little bit more. Okay, same with Letterman then, with the same thing. So his outfit, it's very formal, and it's a context of a chat show, meaning if you look at any chat show, Graham Norton, Jonathan Ross, James Corden, they all wear fashionable suits. However, his suit is a little bit old-fashioned. It probably reflects his age of 62. So the audience, so remember the audience are fans of the show, they've come to see Letterman. With the seating, he sat behind the desk. So unlike Paris Hilton, he is protected from the audience. This possibly makes him feel a bit safer and more confident. He sat higher than Paris Hilton. This shows that he's powerful, he's dominant, he's in control. So when he feels like he goes too far, he almost leans into her. He puts his hand on the armrest, almost telling her, "Don't worry about it. I know I've gone too far. I'll stop now. I'm only having a joke." He does a hand gesture towards the end, and I'll show you this when we look at paralinguistics further, which almost says, it's almost like a cutting gesture which senses that he's gone too far and he will stop. It's his hands together during it whenever he's thinking of a question. So this shows perhaps that he's thinking of his next question, that he's thinking these up on the spot. Remember, our point evidence explain is we make a point for our article, we give evidence for it, and then we explain in our explanation how our evidence proves our point. So, for example, my point here is Paris Hilton's paralinguistics tell us a lot about her emotions during the interview. So we're saying her body language and things gives away how she feels. My evidence for this point is she is sat in front of the audience and is positioned lower than Letterman. So now what I'm going to say in my explanation is why the fact that she was sat in front of the audience with nothing, alone and exposed, and sat lower than Letterman, why that shows some of her emotions. Okay, so we can actually see here just from this still that he's got the desk here in front of him protecting him from the audience, yeah, while she's totally exposed. We can also see that he's actually sat a lot higher, so he's up on a step and she's sat low. So imagine if you were sat in Paris Hilton's chair, this sort of experienced, confident 62-year-old guy is there and he's almost bearing down on you. It probably would put you in a bit of a defensive position. So my explanation is this means she's much more exposed to the audience and there's no barrier between her and the audience, unlike David Letterman, who has a desk. So then I'm going to say how this makes her feel. So this automatically makes her uncomfortable, whilst Letterman feels dominant and powerful. The fact that Hilton enters the show after Letterman, is exposed to the audience and is sat lower than Letterman, all result in the host taking control of the conversation from the outset, so from the start. So let's look at, and then remember, obviously you're not going to put it as a PE in your exam. In your exam, you just put it into one paragraph like that. So another point we can make about the paralinguistics could be that Letterman's hand gestures shows the audience that he's going to change the question topic. He makes a stop gesture. So like I say, I will put the video clip in at this point. So all I'm going to do now, my explanation is saying why this stop gesture is telling the audience that he's going to change the question topic. Okay, here it is in a little bit of a still. So all I'm doing now is explaining it. So this hand movement suggests that he knows he's gone too far with his jokes and he's feeling a little bad. So if you look at the video clip, he's almost shaking his head and saying, oh no, that was a bit too much. He's almost feeling bad that the audience are laughing at Paris Hilton. Okay, and there it is in a PE paragraph. So another point we can make is that Letterman uses his paralinguistic to make Hilton more secure. And my evidence for this is that as the audience are laughing at Paris Hilton, Letterman leans in towards Paris Hilton. Okay, so this use of body language is meant to tell Paris Hilton that he's only joking and not to worry. So by closing the distance between them, he makes Hilton feel more secure. So if he was doing these really insulting jokes and one-liners and then didn't look at her, didn't give her eye contact, kept a lot of space, she'd probably feel more threatened. But the fact that he's leaning in, he's trying to make eye contact with her, is probably saying to her that he isn't totally serious and not to worry. And there it is in a paragraph. So another point to make for paralinguistics. Paris Hilton uses paralinguistics to try and get sympathy from Letterman and the audience, but now you're making me sad, hurting my feelings.
So now I haven't seen you since.
No, but now you're making me sad that I came because you're
no,
hurting my
please,
feelings.
no, please, don't be sad. Are you really sad? No. Are you feeling better?
And this is what she does. She sticks her lip out and she changes her tone of voice. So I'm going to say why that action is her trying to get sympathy. And there you go, even closer. Probably people her age, you wouldn't see too many people doing that sort of thing. So Hilton is feeling so desperate that she pushes out her bottom lip to suggest how sad she is. It makes her look faintly ridiculous to portray herself as a toddler, and it's almost like she's treating Letterman as her father. This may also give the viewing audience an insight into what she is like with her own father. So it's almost someone who puts their bottom lip out is a child. Or a little girl who maybe can't get her mummy or daddy is not going to buy her the toy that she likes. So it's almost like she's reverting to how she is a kid because she's so defenseless. She can't really reply to him intellectually. She hasn't really got any good points to say or to defend herself. So the only way she can really defend herself is by acting like a child. I've also said she also changes her tone and pitch of her voice into that of a young girl, which she hopes will help Letterman ease off with his questioning. So she's almost playing up her girly side, hoping that if she acts like a defenseless female, then Letterman will let her off. And it actually does work. After she does this, he does stop. And then again, it's into a PE paragraph. Okay, so here's another paragraph for paralinguistics. Paralinguistics is going to be quite a big chunk of your controlled assessment. I'd say you should be at least looking to write 2 or 3 big paralinguistic PE paragraphs. So another one is, throughout the interview, Letterman uses sarcastic tone of voice to embarrass Hilton. My evidence is, feeling better now, I'll buy you a parakeet.
Yes.
I'll buy you a parakeet.
So this is Letterman joking that he will buy her a present if he cheers herself up. This could imply that Letterman sees through Hilton's childish behaviour and is acting like a dad role for a joke. So he can almost see that her pretending to be like a little kid is so pathetic that he's almost, in a joke, he's almost pretending to be a dad, that he will buy her a present if she cheers up.